Hey, what's up, everybody? Today we're looking at the Neanderthals Rediscovered, how a scientific revolution is rewriting their story by Dimitra Papagianni and Michael A. Morse. I couldn't find much on the authors, but they're both PhDs related to this topic, especially Dimitra having done her PhD on Neanderthal sites in Greece. So this book was published by Thames and Hudson, same people who did Homo sapiens Rediscovered. The Neanderthals Rediscovered was originally published in 2013, and this is the 2022 revised edition. So this includes a lot of recent updates that weren't in the last couple publications. This is something that we can really appreciate with a subject like this because new discoveries are being made all the time, and they can really change the way we think about something like Neanderthals. Later in the video, I'll give a short list of some answers that this book provides for some of the questions that a lot of people might have about Neanderthals. I also really enjoyed the organization of the chapter layouts. It's organized by time period or a range of dates, and each chapter starts with a map of the area that's being discussed. For instance, we have a preface in chapter 1, and then for chapter 2, the first Europeans, ranges from 1 million to 600,000 years ago, and we get a map of parts of Africa, Europe, and Asia with the locations of the archaeological discoveries marked. Chapter 3, Defeating the Cold, ranges from 600,000 to 250,000 years ago, plus the map, and so on. You guys know I'm a big fan of this kind of organization. I think it's very helpful when it comes to learning, and I'll say I did learn a lot from this book. I watch a lot of YouTube like North O2, Stefan Milo, and Early Humans, things like that. And I thought that maybe going into this, it might contain a lot of information that I've already heard. But I definitely found this book to be worth my time to read. And plus, it was just really enjoyable. And again, being revised so recently really makes it a good choice, besides all of the other reasons, and there are a number of them. The book also features plenty of black and white pictures as well as a number of color photos, and some of the pictures in this book are pretty neat. The book covers a lot of what we know about the Neanderthals, as well as some of the science involved in the fields of those who study them. One of the authors also specializes in stone tool culture, and so there's a lot of information here on the different classifications of stone tools or industries. Most books like this will go with a kind of mix between science book and history/biography book, alternating between the main subject and discussion on the people who make the discoveries and further the science. This book does that too, but it really focuses on the Neanderthals. The bits that stray off into other things are really done sparingly and always in order to give the reader a better understanding of the material. I just want to stress that again. Most books will take large and frequent detailed tangents, and it can sometimes feel like they're just trying to pad out the length of the book. This one keeps these tangents brief and important. I'll also add that, as with probably any book on a topic like this, it sometimes involves a lot of speculation. And the book does say that there is a lot that we don't know yet. And this book made me think about it must be torture for the people who work in these fields to know that there's so much that they may never know. Because when I say this field involves a lot of speculation, I mean they're constantly having to make assumptions and trying to reason things out, and often there's just no way to know for sure if they're right. You'll be hearing an explanation for something, and you'll be able to think of several alternative explanations that seem just as plausible. So, to me, this would be torture. I could never do this kind of work. I'll just wait for the books to come out. And as for this book, it's really good. Go ahead and buy it. Now, I did tell you that I would share some of our current thinking on Neanderthals according to this book, so why don't we get into that? And if I say something here that contradicts something you've heard, yeah, that seems to be a common thing in this field. I'm only sharing some of the interesting stuff from this book here in the hope that you'll be inspired to go get the book. And one more disclaimer, the Neanderthals were around for a very long time and they covered decent sized areas in Europe and Asia, so some of the things I list here may not apply to all of them all the time, but here they are. Neanderthals did bury their dead, though we can't say for sure what the different reasons for this may have been. They mature faster than Homo sapiens do. Humans and Neanderthals did mate and produce fertile offspring together. We used to think that all people outside of Africa harbored about 2% Neanderthal DNA. We now know that Africans too harbored Neanderthal DNA, but it's much less. We've acquired around 12,000 genes from breeding with the Neanderthals, and we've only identified the functions for a few of them. Some of them are involved with improved immunity, but we've also received some that heighten the risk for type 2 diabetes, Crohn's disease, and other problems like addiction, arthritis, depression, and allergies. We have identified in the Neanderthal DNA genes for green eyes, light skin, and red hair. Even more fascinatingly, some Melanesian peoples, as well as Filipinos, may have up to 6% denisovan DNA. Neanderthals did make stone tools, but they weren't as advanced as ours. They did use fire, and they did cook their food, which included a lot of meat and also things like seeds and grains. They hunted and foraged whatever was available to them, including megafauna like woolly mammoth, horse, reindeer, and bison. We believe that they made art and used jewelry, but their level of symbolic expression was not as abstract as ours. We know that they did care for their injured bandmates. Neanderthals likely had speech capabilities too, though probably not as sophisticated as ours. They had a hyoid bone and the FOXP2 gene like ours. I know some animals have a FOXP2 gene, but it's slightly different from ours, which is not the case with the Neanderthals, according to this book. It's going to be interesting to see if and how some of these proclamations change in the light of inevitable new discoveries. And I could just list a lot more stuff from the book. I took over 40 videos of notes while reading this, and there's a lot of stuff I'd like to talk about from the book, but just hearing me say it would be a poor substitution for experiencing the book. If you're watching a video about a book about Neanderthals, I can tell you that this book is good enough that you'll enjoy it from cover to cover. Out of all the different kinds of books I've read, this is a subject that incites a certain kind of wonder and longing, I guess, and I suspect that every human understands what I mean to a degree. We've all seen Neanderthals on TV and stuff like that, but have you really stopped to consider these were another variation of human, like us, but not quite? We have to wonder, would they have looked at us and asked themselves some of the same questions we ask about them? Do they dream? Do they gossip or get angry? Do they have ambition or laugh when somebody farts? What really fills me with awe is the fact that there was a time when Homo sapiens, Neanderthals, Denisovans, and Homo floresiensis, and most likely others, shared this planet all during the same time, and we would have encountered each other. That's something incredible that no human has experienced in 40,000 years. These were our cousins, and they're gone forever. You and I will never see them. We can only see them in videos and read about them in books, and the Neanderthals Rediscovered is an excellent choice. Okay, that's it for this one, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. It should be clear to you by now that I enjoyed this book. I thought the authors did a really great job of laying out the information that we have on Neanderthals and doing it in a way that keeps the pages turning from 1 to 219. So if this is the type of thing that you might be interested in, you might want to check out Neanderthals Rediscovered by Dimitra, Papagianni, and Michael A. Morse.